Hi everyone, my name's Kim and this is Expedition 3 Pages, and today I'm going to be playing my TBR game Tales from Two Trails for the month of March. So this is my second month playing my game. I've moved things around, so if you guys want to join in then you're absolutely able to join in, which is really fun. If this is the first video of mine that you're watching, then I will link to my explanation video for Tales from Two Trails down in the description for you to go and take a look at. The only thing I don't say in that video is the participation part of it for you guys, and I did release a video in February. However, I have changed things up a little bit, so I will be going over that again today, how you can join in and all that jazz. So yeah, all that information will be in this video, but any information about the actual gameplay and what's going on and the thoughts behind the board will be in the video linked in the description. The very quick fire rules though is that there are two trails. Green path have loads of prompts that help me complete my 2022 goals for reading, and the red path is just a bunch of other challenges mixed in with those ones and just makes it a bit more difficult for me to complete my goals. So yeah, it's set up like snakes and ladders, and I start at the top. I actually started on the red path in February, and so yeah, I'm working my way down. Once I get to the bottom, I get a reward or I get a unreward. Each month I do 4 roles, pick 4 prompts, and then pick some books to fit those prompts. So yeah, I think before I begin and go over what I managed to read in February, I think I'm going to let you guys know about the participation part. So if you're interested in maybe joining in with the game in some way, then stick around and I will be explaining that in a sec. If you aren't interested in that and you just want to watch the gameplay, then I will be timestamping everything, so you can just skip right ahead to the gameplay section. Okay, the first thing that I just need to let you know is that going forwards for March, I've decided to change what happens slightly, what I'm going to do if I don't manage to complete the books on my list. I did say that if I didn't complete a book on my TBR, then I would have to move back 3 spaces. But I've changed it now to that if I don't complete that book, then I have to step back to the last space I was on. So essentially what this means is I have to read the books in order to progress down the trail, which is what I started doing in February. I started reading the books in order. So yeah, what that basically means is if I didn't finish the book for the 4th prompt, then I have to step right back to where I was before. So it could be between 1 or 6 steps back because I roll a 6-sided dice. Okay, so there are a couple of ways that you can affect the gameplay. There's one way where you can kind of try and help me, and you can try and help me like move forward along the board, or there's another way where you can try and trip me up and hinder me in some way and make things a little bit more difficult for me going forward. So the first way is that you can help me, which would be very nice of you guys. And the way you do that is by reading one book that fits one of the prompts that I roll for during the month kind of in play. So it can be any of the 4 prompts, and you can pick absolutely any book that you would like that would fit for that prompt. Then once you've done that, then you go back to the TBR video that you saw the prompt on, and you just comment down in the comments what you read and what prompt it was for, and then basically by you doing that, that means that I get a +1 step forward. So even if I have to move backwards on the board, I can take that +1 step forward and move forward on the board. So this is really good for me if I don't complete all the books on my TBR, because then if I have to keep moving back, like if I don't read 2 and I have to move back 2 spaces that I were before, then I can kind of like have your 1+ steps going forward, which will help me like try and gain some ground back. So I kind of see it as you essentially like being on the trail with me and pulling me along. That's kind of in my imagination, that's what's happening. I have decided to limit it so that if I do complete all the books on my TBR and I don't move backwards, I can only use 6 steps forward, so 6 individual steps forward. So then that's like an extra roll of the dice basically. So the second way you can join in is by trying to trip me up in some way and not help me along the path, which I kind of like this idea. I like being mean sometimes. So the way that you can trip me up is by reading one of the exact books that I say I'm going to read on my TBR, and if I didn't manage to read it for whatever reason, maybe I swapped it out or maybe I just didn't get to it, then by you reading it instead of me means that I then have to pull a prompt from the punishment pot. So in this punishment pot, it's going to be like a mixture of prompts where it could be like a reading prompt, but it could also be something that affects where I have to move to on the board, so in like a negative way in some way, or it might be an activity that I've got to do during the next month, stuff like that. And it can also be a prompt suggested by one of you guys. So if you do have any prompts, or if you have any specific books that you would like me to read, then just feel free to comment down below and I'll add those into the punishment pot as well. I mean, it's called a punishment pot, but it's supposed to just be a bit of fun, but just an extra thing for me to have to do. So obviously, if I have to do more things during the next month, then that means I am less likely to finish my TBR, if you know what I mean. So yeah, the best bet is reading one of the books later down on my TBR because I'm less likely to get to it. But then equally, in February, I actually ended up switching out the first book on my TBR for something else that fitted the prompt. So had someone read the book that I said I was going to read in that video, I didn't read it, I read something else. So that would also count. So, you know, it's not always about like kind of order, it can be chance as well. So yeah, it's definitely harder to trip me up than to help me. So that's why I've kind of reduced down the helping to 1 book per person, so 1 step forward per person. I mean, I don't know at this stage how many people are going to join in. So maybe not that many people join in and I'm like, damn it, maybe I should have opened it out to more, and maybe I will in the future say I'll accept more than 1 per person, but right now just where I'm gauging like participation, then I'll just wait and see how it goes. The main thing to remember about this though is if you do want to join in, then please do come back to the TBR video and just make a comment in the description about what book you read and what prompt it was for, and then I can make sure I put it towards the next game. There is going to be a deadline to do this that isn't the end of March, so the deadline for you guys to kind of let me know which book you've read will be midnight GMT on the 26th of March, just so then I've got time to record April's TBR and work things out and all that jazz, like edit it and everything, put it up before April starts. I'm really excited because actually I did have a few steps forward for this month that a couple of people did, and it was really fun to see what other people were reading. So I do hope some of you guys want to join in because I think it will be good. And I feel like even if you read a book that I said I was going to read and I did end up reading it, well then that's kind of cool because then we can talk about the book because we've both read it. So it's kind of like doing a buddy read without doing a buddy read, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's everything. Okay, so before I start on with March's TBR, I'm just going to recap what I read in February. The first book that I ended up reading was Firmament by Simon Clarke. This is a non-fiction book about the atmosphere, which I absolutely loved. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was really good, a great introduction to atmospheric physics and the history of the science and everything. And yeah, I thought it was excellent. I really did think this was excellent. And I read this for non-fiction learning. This was actually the book that I switched out because I did originally pick a memoir, and then I realised that the prompt square it didn't mean memoir. So I ended up switching it out for this one. So yeah, that's what I read. Then the next prompt was STEM, and I ended up picking Finding Wonders by Janine Atkins. This is a middle grade book written in verse about the lives of 3 different female scientists, and I did originally think it was non-fiction, but actually it turned out it was pretty much fiction with like the main facts I think were non-fiction, but there was a lot of like embellishing of story going on around it. And overall I did like it, and I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. So that's 2 down. Then I landed on continuation of a series, so I picked up The Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden. As you can see, I'm still reading it. Actually, I'm not as far along as I thought I was, but I think I will finish this by the end of February. So in that case, I'm going to count it as I've read it. If I don't finish it by the end of February, and I'm going to be very strict about this, so it can't be, oh yeah, I've read most of it, you know, I'm 10 pages to the end and suddenly it's March. No, it has to be at the end of February, otherwise it doesn't count. If that happens and I don't manage to finish it by the end of February, then I'm going to have to pick from the punishment pot at the start of April because I lied about finishing it basically. But yeah, this is I plan on it. Then my final step on the path was an Instagram pick, a book from Instagram basically, and this I said I was going to read Obsidio, but I haven't got to it yet, and because of course now I've decided to read the books in the right order on the path until I finish The Girl in the Tower, I couldn't start Obsidio, so I failed Obsidio and I have to move back to the continuation of a series square on the board before I can carry on. So now let's work out where I'm going to be starting from on the board. I will let you know who read what that's going to help me along the path for the month of March, and then we can get going with the TBR. Right, so last time I landed lastly on this Instagram spot, and as I may have already explained, I am not going to get to the book that fits that prompt, sadly. So according to my new rules that I'm going to implement, instead of moving back 3 spaces like I originally said I would, I'm going to move back to the last prompt space I was on, which in this case is continue on in a series, basically. So I'm going to count that I did do that, even though technically, as I'm filming, I actually haven't finished it yet. I'm taking a gamble, and I'm going to say I'm going to finish it by the end of February. I feel like I'm going to finish it, and I will let you know for my April TBR whether or not I have. So let's start from here. So I've managed to make it to the continuation, a series, and now I'm going to go and check in with the comments on the February TBR and see what books were read by other people that will help me move along the path. So the first book that was read by somebody else fitted the prompt for actually continuation of a series, which is quite fitting because that's where I am. And it was from Lee Mack, my lovely friend here on BookTube. And she read The Wide Window, which is book 3 in a series of unfortunate events by Lemony Snicket. And so because Lee read that, I can move forward 1 space. So thank you, Lee. Appreciated. And then next up we have Amy from Amy's Bookish Life. She read a book that fit the prompt of non-fiction. She read The Boys on the Boat by Daniel James Brown and really liked it, and actually it sounds really good. So I'm really intrigued. So because of Amy reading that book, that means I can move another step forward. And we haven't finished yet with the steps forward, so I'm not going to go down to free choice, because actually the last prompt that I got was another one from Lee Mack. She read another book that fits series continuation, and in the new way that I'm running this, I wouldn't be able to count a second book from Lee, but because I never stated that in my last video, I am going to use this book from Lee. Lee ended up reading 5 Little Pigs, which is a Poirot novel by Agatha Christie. It was number 25. So thanks, Lee. I'm going to use that this time because I didn't change the rules yet, and that means I end up here, which is, I think that's random page generator, but I'm not going to use that prompt because this is just the starting place. So actually, thanks to Lee and Amy, I only had to move back 1 space, which is great. Yeah, thanks for helping me along the trail, guys. I really appreciate it. And of course, I will link Amy and Lee's channels down below as well for you to check out. Okay, so perfect. Let's go for roll number 1. 3. Oh, yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes! Totally on the green path, and it's free choice. Oh my gosh, that is so perfect. Thank you, guys. I'm so grateful to Lee and Amy right now. Thank you so much. Right, so the first prompt came out as free choice, which was amazing. I was so happy about that. And so for this, I have decided to read Blood of Dragons by Robin Hobb. This is the 4th book in the Rainwild Chronicles, so I definitely can't say anything about this because it gives everything away. But I'm really enjoying this series now. I think the 3rd book picked up. I think 1 and 2 was a bit slow, but the 3rd book definitely picked up, and I'm really, really excited to read this one. And I'm reading this for the Elderling Along run by Becca from Becca and the Books, and I think the live show for that they're doing is going to be like the 2nd or 3rd week of March, weekend of March, so I need to read it at the start of March anyway, so this is going to be the first book that I'm going to be reading. Let's go for roll number 2 for the green path. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, mythology. Okay, I actually have to read 2 books for mythology. Okay, roll number 2 got me mythology. So this is one of my goals for the year, is to read myth retellings and then also read an original text of some kind featuring the characters in the retelling. So the book that I've decided to read as the retelling is going to be Circe by Madeline Miller. I read, was it last year now? Yeah, it was my favourite book of the year, I think. I read The Song of Achilles and absolutely loved it. And I've wanted to read Circe for ages, so that's what I'm going to pick for that. I actually don't know much about Circe, to be honest. I think Circe isn't a main character in any stories or any mythology or anything like that. So I had a little Google to see where Circe kind of first appears, and it says that Circe is mentioned in Book 10 of the Odyssey by Homer. So I guess that's what I'm reading, Book 10 of the Odyssey by Homer. I don't actually have it, so I don't really know how it's all laid out, and if it's all clear, I assume it is clear. So yeah, that's what I'm going to read, Book 10 of the Odyssey, as well as Circe, to kind of get the original version of Circe and then Circe. So yeah. Okay, and roll number 3. Oh, can you see that? Yeah, just 5. Oh, I'm moving down this trail like crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is Colour Picker. It does look like the hazard symbol, but it's not. And I thought I was going down again, but the arrows are going the wrong way. So third up, I got Random Colour Generator. So I went on the Colour Picker. I'll just put it up here so you guys can see it. And as you can see, I got Oyster White, which was really random colour. But I like this Random Colour Generator because they give you the names of the colour. It's not just like you see the colour. And I like learning the names of the colours. But yeah, that might just be me. So anyway, on my shelf, I had this book, Tom Holt's The Portable Door. I actually don't know anything about Tom Holt. I don't know why I have this book. This was just in a collection of books that I picked up from my mum's that I must have bought ages ago. To be honest, I may not have even bought this. It could be like another member of my family bought it, but yeah, I don't know anything about it. It's quite old, I'm guessing. So it was first published in 2003, and it's like a humorous book. This makes me nervous because of obviously I don't know if it's going to be offensive in some way. It's really bad that now when you pick up an old book, you worry about these things, isn't it? Like, because suddenly the stark difference between how we think about the way to talk about things now is so different, even from just 2003. So it always makes you a bit like, ooh. But maybe it's fine, I don't know. So yeah, let's read the back and find out what this is about. So it says, starting a new job can be extremely stressful. You meet your colleagues and forget their names. Yeah, that's true. You meet your boss and forget his name. Then after breaking the photocopier, you forget your own name. And the next day you get to do it all again. But what if your new employer is not the pen pushing, paper shuffling outfit you supposed it to be? What if it's an elaborate front for something far more sinister? Not that Paul Carpenter, a new recruit at J.W. Wells & Co. would even notice. He's become obsessed with wooing the enigmatic Sophie, a bizarre angular woman with all the sexual appeal of a hole punch. I mean, yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm not sure. It's intriguing, like, to find out what this is actually a front for. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And finally, we have roll number 4. So that doesn't count because it just flew off the table. And I've no idea where it's gone. It's in a really difficult place. Okay, I'm gonna roll again. I need like a tray to keep the dice actually in. 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's non-fiction learning. Okay, so the last prompt on my TBR was to read a non-fiction learning book. And so for this, I've actually decided to go for a book that has 0 reviews on Goodreads, which is maybe concerning. I think it came out like literally the 22nd of February, so very, very recently. And it is A Blue New Deal, Why We Need New Politics for the Ocean. And it's literally talking about the state of the oceans, what we must do to protect them, everything like that. So yeah, I'm really intrigued. I'm obviously a bit concerned because there's no reviews, but it is very new and it's a very niche book, so maybe that's why. Oh, I didn't say, but it's by Chris Armstrong, so yeah. Yeah, that's going to be the book I read for that, hopefully. So yeah, that's everything on my TBR for this month. I didn't actually tell you guys what I was hoping to read in the month of March, but there's a lot on my list. Like, there's a lot of rollovers and everything like that. I do feel the urge of just scrapping some stuff, although I can't scrap stuff. That's the thing, I don't want to give up the books that I'm reading, but these are the books that I wrote down. So well, Blood of Dragons, so that's on the list. A Discovery of Witches, oh yeah, that I'm doing for the, why didn't I remember about this? A Discovery of Witches I'm reading with the read-along run by Bookstara, which is a book reading group run by Amy from A Star Reads, Danielle from Bookstara, and Paige from Pages of Page. And yeah, I'm really excited to read along with that group of people again. They have a Discord, everybody's wonderful in it, and I'm really excited. Then I have whatever my Friends and Family Book Club book is. Little Dorrit, I'm actually loving at the moment, so I will be reading that still. That is an ongoing project. In the Shadow of the Banyan is the book that I'm currently reading for my Expedition 3 Pages challenge, Reading Around the World challenge that I'm doing for Cambodia at the moment. Then Jane Eyre I didn't manage to finish for the Brontalong, so that's sad. I'm still reading that. And I think that's everything I wrote down. There could be more. The other thing that I'm doing for the month of March is I am participating kind of in Roll of Reads, which is run by Mel from a book fiend named Mel. And I did already release a TBR video for that, which I can link down in the description if you wanted to go and watch the books I ended up picking for that. But actually, Amy from A Star Reads and I are going to be running some sprints on Saturday at 8 p.m. GMT, where we're doing like try a chapter sprints for the books we want to read for Roll of Reads. So yeah, there'll be probably a couple more books that I'm trying to like get to in the month of March from that list as well. So yeah, it's definitely not going to be a calm reading month in March, but it's all fun and games. It's all fun and games. So yeah, that's everything. I really hope some of you guys would like to join in. To be honest, if you wanted to like have a go at helping me on the path and also hindering me in some way, then feel free to do that as well. You can do 2 books towards it. You don't have to just pick one or the other. So officially for my Tales from Two Trails TBR, I will be reading Blood of Dragons first by Robin Hobb. Then I will be reading Circe by Madeline Miller. Then I will be reading Book 10 in the Odyssey by Homer. Then I will be reading The Portable Door by Tom Holt. And then I will be reading A Blue New Deal, is it called? By Chris Armstrong. So 5 books on the TBR this month, kind of. So yeah, that's everything for this month. Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, everyone.